Hello to everyone on YouTube at The Body Scientist 81. Welcome. My name is Makeda Valletta, and I'm also about to go live on IG. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can find me at the_body_scientist. Okay, the_body_scientist. That's where you can find me on IG. So I'm going to pull up my IG live, and today I'm going to talk to you all about what it really means to be in shape, like what that means, because people talk about that a lot, So what does that really mean? Hold on a minute. Let me get to my live. Okay. Sorry. Okay. YouTube. Okay. YouTube and Instagram. Okay. So if you're on Instagram, this video will also be on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. So make sure you follow me on YouTube as well. So once again, my name is Makeda Valletta. In case you are not familiar with me, I have a Bachelor of Science in Exercise and Sports Science and a concentration in nutrition, concentration in strength and conditioning, minor in sports nutrition. Then I went to graduate school at Columbia for exercise physiology and nutrition. And I am a certified strength and conditioning specialist, certified by the NSCA. And what we do is develop workouts in the weight room to help increase performance, to help and decrease injury. So to help increase a vertical jump or 40-yard dash, or help to prevent ACL injuries in female team sport players, prevent hamstring tears in sprinters, prevent tennis elbow, So, and also peak athletes on the day they need to be peaked, because nobody is in peak condition all the time. If you try to be in peak condition all the time, you will overtrain yourself. But there's both overtraining and undertraining can both lead to serious injuries. It can lead to decreased performance, serious injuries, okay? So there's a science to that work to rest ratio in every way. That means in between the reps that you do. That means in between the sets that you do. How many sets, how many reps, how long should the rest be? How many days should you rest? If you have a if you have a competition day and you have to be your fastest on championship day, whatever. So, when is the last time you should do a really intense workout? So all of that is what strength and conditioning coaches do. And then you combine that with nutrition, making sure that your body is fueled properly and that you're hydrated, because if your body's not fueled properly, if you don't have the right macronutrients or micronutrients that you need, if you're dehydrated, you are not going to perform at your best either. So there's a fine line between all of those things. And so, a lot of times, being in this industry, one thing I do know is that true strength doesn't have anything to do with what you look like, okay? It does not have to do with what you look like. And this is one thing I like about pole dance, because I've always known this as a strength and conditioning coach and specialist, but a lot of people attach a look to strength. And and then there's also some variables within that as well, okay? So for one, the more muscle somebody has and the more dense it is, generally speaking, you can say that they may have more muscular strength, but that's not necessarily true. When people have longer limbs can, the further something is away from its center, the more unstable it becomes. So if something has longer limbs, then that a lot of times can decrease strength as well. But when you're dealing with a certain sport and certain skills, like for example, in basketball or volleyball, where you need to reach high and grab, in tennis or baseball, where baseball pitching, where you're throwing, having a long levers is good in that situation. But a lot of times, with dance, for example, having longer limbs can be more difficult. because a lot of people think that long limbs looks nice, but the reality is the longer your limbs are, the harder it is to control yourself, the harder it is to control your body and your movements. And that's why a lot of times when you see dancers, even dancers who dance back up for people, when they get off, or even in professional dance companies, when they get off the stage, they're usually really little people. Like, you don't usually see really tall dancers. Sometimes you do, but it's just a lot harder to control your movements. And not impossible, but it just requires more strength, right? And different bodies are built for different things as well. Like sometimes, like there are certain sports and certain positions that have an optimal body type or optimal muscle fiber percentage that you should have. Like sprinters have a lot of high twitch muscle fibers. You know, like if somebody wasn't born with a lot of high twitch muscle fibers, fast twitch muscle fibers, then they won't exceed at being a sprinter. Or if somebody wants to be a really good distance runner, but they don't have a lot of slow twitch muscle fibers, that's not, their body is not efficient at that. People from East Africa tend to dominate distance running, and a lot of that has to do with not just the percentage of slow twitch muscle fibers they have, but also how their feet are, how their joints are built. So, you know, I remember Nike did this whole ad campaign about running barefoot, you know, like Kenyans, but it's like Kenyans can run barefoot. The rest of us, it's not such a good idea. You probably end up hurting yourself. You need something to absorb the shock. The way Kenyans are built from their feet to their knees, to the muscle fibers, to their whole construction, they're built for that. So some bodies are built for certain things, you know. And so like for me, for example, there's a lot of different things that I do. And being in shape is specific to that particular thing. Like somebody can be really in shape for boxing. They could be like one of the most in shape boxers, and they throw them in a pool and you have them do a workout with a swimmer and they'll be dying, you know, or take that swimmer who's in amazing shape in the pool, make them work out with a boxer, they'll be dying because the skills are totally different. You know, swimmers aren't using their feet and, you know, that kind of movement and changing direction and yada, yada, yada. And boxers, you know, are not used to the way that you breathe in swimming and the way that you're pushing against the water. And so when you train your body for something in particular, you get in shape for that particular thing, okay? So being in shape is very specific. So what that means is if you don't use it, you lose it. It's not really about the look. And this is what I'm always telling people, because every time I tell people, like, I need to work out, I don't want to go too long without doing certain things, like, I do a lot of Afro-Caribbean dance. So when people hear Afro-Caribbean, they might think I'm talking about dance hall, which I'll dance to dance hall and stuff like that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Haitian folklore dance, which a lot of people have never seen, which is extremely intense, okay? I have a video where I talk about how Haitian dance is my yoga. Haitian dance, you're doing a lot with your head, your neck, your shoulders on a different rhythm. Your shoulders could be doing this, circling back, doing all kinds of quick movements. You have shoulder movements, you have arm movements, you have the hips, all kinds of contractions that happen in the hips. Even a lot of this lower ab contraction, right? Which I really learned a lot about when I started studying Congolese dance, and then it transferred over into Haitian, because a lot of the Haitian folklore dances involve hip movements that involve a serious contraction of his lower abs. Very Congolese. But when you do stuff from Cuba, from Brazil, they all are very hip oriented, you know, in activating these muscles. Twerking and bounce, which are Afro-American booty dances. I love studying booty dances of the world. But twerking and bouncing is distinctly different than the way that Caribbeans and South Americans move, because there really isn't a lot of movement in the hips, but there's a lot of movement in the butt cheeks, which is really difficult to me, actually. To me, that's actually in some ways even more difficult. But when you're doing like Congo-based dances and you have a lot going on here, your footwork is crazy, your shoulders, your head, that involves consciousness in multiple parts of your body. And I notice, like, the only time I can really dance like that, it's like I have to have those instruments, you know, like if I'm at home and I'm playing music and I'm dancing in my living room, I'm not going to dance how I'm going to dance when I'm in a room with drummers, Afro-Cuban drummers, Haitian drummers that are badass, they're playing those rhythms, they're playing them loud. and it speaks to my body, it activates my body in a certain way, puts me in a certain zone. And then you get something really intense, out of that. So I have to be in a certain zone to even do certain things, right? You need the right music, you need the right, just the whole thing. But regardless of that, it's like, I've been dancing since I was a kid, but, doing Afro-Caribbean, Afro-folkloric dances is very different than doing ballet. You can have somebody who's a top ballerina. You put them in a Congolese dance class where it's all this footwork and isolation of the hips going different ways and the shoulders, and you have them doing all of that, they get lost because in ballet, you never activate here. You never activate this. It's all stiff. It's all, all this movement, you're not doing all of that. And so if I go too long without doing this stuff, because it's very exhausting, actually. And so if I go too long, and this is why I go back to New York, because all of my dance teachers and that type of dance that I do is really only in New York and the Bay Area. Like, you can't find it in Chicago. You cannot find it in DC. You cannot find it in Atlanta. Can't find it in Miami. Like, Miami just recently got a Haitian dance class after all these years, and the huge Haitian population that's there, they never had that. But New York, we have several. We've always had several. But, it's the Bay Area, really. LA has some West African, a little bit of Afro-Brazilian, but it's really New York and the Bay Area, and Detroit for some reason. Detroit has a lot as well. But really those three places, where you can really find that shit that I'm talking about. So the thing about it is that I have to go back for that. And then if I don't do that, and I also drum. So if I spin and then drumming, your hands and the muscles in your forearms have to be in shape in a certain way as well. That's a totally different kind of conditioning. So you have conditioning the hands and the forearms and conditioning to make a sound, right? To make it sound a certain way, not to just hit it, but to hit it in a way that it sounds a certain way and keep up that tempo. That's one kind of training. Then, I got being in shape for that, being in shape for the dance stuff, remembering the rhythms, because I might have to play them, And then, like, I'll go through time periods. Like, I went through a time period where I was on the pole like crazy. For a couple of years, I was on the pole for hours every single week. Hours every day, like, in class training, teaching. I mean, a lot. And then I kind of got burnt out, and while I was doing that, I kind of had fallen off of my Afro-Caribbean stuff. I wasn't around that for like a year, but I was still focused on pole training. And then I travel a lot. So every time I would go to a different city, I would go to a different pole studio. If I'm in LA, if I'm in Atlanta, if I'm in DC, if I'm in the Baltimore area, if I'm in Miami, if I'm in New Orleans, like, no matter where I went, I was trying to go to a pole studio. But then it's just a lot of money that you spend, and it's just a lot. And I have a pole at home, so I'm just like, I'll just train at home. But then I'm out of town a lot, and the pole training, and then it's like the pole that I have at home is kind of slippery. So, there's all these different things that goes into it, and it's only so much time in the day. And so it's really, I'm babbling all this to say that when I talk about being in shape, like, if I could say right now, I'm really out of shape, right? Because tomorrow, when I go to my Haitian dance class in New York, my teacher, who's amazing, one of the people I've studied with, he is going to be on me. If I'm tired, if I'm slacking, he's going to yell my name. He's going to be in my face. He's going to make me do it. Like, and he's always pushing me. So it's like, no matter how, even though he might know I haven't been there in months, I've been studying with him since 2006. And it's like, for a long time, he's been like that on me. So it's like, when I go there tomorrow, it's like, if I go too long without doing it, then I'm super out of shape. And I can't be that way, or if I have to teach a pole class, then I have to be strong enough to demonstrate what I'm talking about. Because sometimes it's like, if you think about an elite basketball player, like a college player, a professional player, if they go 2, 3, 4 months without playing, they're still going to be better than most people, but they're not going to be in tip-top shape in terms of what they're able to do. If they go, if they're playing professional basketball and they're used to playing 6 days a week, then they go to playing once a week for about a year, once a week, sometimes not even once a week. Their skills, their endurance and accuracy and all of that goes down a lot. So that's what happened. So it's like now I'm like in this process of like training myself again. And, the other thing too is that a lot of people, when I talk about this in my video where I talk about the importance of strength training, a lot of people think that whatever workout it is they do, whatever sport they play, whatever dance they do, they think that's enough. They think, oh, well, I work in construction, so I don't need to work out anymore. Or I work as a bike messenger, so I work out all the time. I don't need to work out anymore. Or all I do is pole dance, and that's enough. And all I do is belly dance. No. No to all of that. No to all of those things. Because any activity that you do, including living your everyday life, and then every other activity you do, a dance, a sport, or whatever, actually puts stress on your body. It can cause imbalances in your body. Okay? For example, if somebody says they think pole's all they need to do, but that's really imbalanced because it's a lot of upper body. It doesn't really work your legs like that. No matter what people tell you, it does not work your legs like that. And also, it doesn't really work your chest a whole lot. It's a lot of back, a lot of arms. Sometimes depending on what you're doing, like if you're doing something upside down, it can be shoulders and tricep heavy, but it's not balanced with how much it works your chest and how much it works your back and your biceps and your triceps. Also, it's it's not really getting your glutes. It's not. So it can. You have to work out all the muscles in your body, all of the muscles, and you want to work them in different planes of motion. You want to work them in different ways. And while there's not one activity or one sport that is the ultimate, best thing. Like people think like all you have to do is this one thing. There's nothing like that. It needs to be balanced in a way that makes sense. And strength training is always important because, again, strength training is, as a strength and conditioning coach, what we do is we design workouts in the weight room to increase performance and decrease injury. Okay? So it could be that, you have a baseball pitcher and you want to increase their chances of throwing fastballs, but you want to decrease their chances of injuring their shoulders, injuring their elbows. So we design workouts for that, okay? That particular thing. Working with a female basketball player. You want to help her be able to jump higher. You want to increase her vertical jump. You want to increase her because they get tested on their mile time, her muscular endurance. Yes. And you want to decrease the chances of her getting an ACL injury. And there are particular things to do to help to decrease those chances in your training. And that is what a strength and conditioning coach does. The sports coach does not do that. The strength and conditioning coach does that. The sports nutritionist, we will tell the athletes how they should eat based on their workout schedule in the weight room, practice, and their competitions, what you should be eating and when. So you're not gassy when it's time to compete. So you're not about to pass out from a heat stroke. You don't have decreased performance because you're dehydrated or didn't eat enough, or don't have enough carbohydrates or whatever the fuck it is, right? So that is what we do. And so being in shape, I just want you to understand, is very specific to what it is that you're training for. And, I got into pole dance to also balance out the things that I do because everything that I did involved my legs. I ran track, I played basketball. I fenced. Fencing is all lunges. I was a softball pitcher. I skated a lot growing up. I used to rollerblade, and I taught myself how to skate. I used to ice skate and rollerblade all summer, all winter. What else? And I can jump high as shit. You know what I'm saying? I used to race my twin brother, sprinted. Everything was legs, right? Then I started playing a little bit of tennis. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not acrobatic. Like, I can't do handstands and flips, and I can't pull myself up, and I don't have that kind of body strength. And so that's one of the reasons I got into pole. And the thing about it is I have super long arms. If you haven't noticed, and my arms are actually a lot longer than somebody who is 5'8". A lot of people ask me how tall I am. I'm 5'8". But my limbs are like a 6-foot person's limbs, and I'm not exaggerating. I have measured this span of arms. It's a 6-foot person's arms. So maybe I was supposed to be 6 feet. Maybe I'm supposed to be taller. I think I was. And I've been around people who are 5'10", and they seem to be the same height as me, but I'm like 5'8", 5'9", I don't know, right? But with abnormally long limbs. So it's hard for me, like, with doing pole, like when you're trying to, hold all your weights, all of my weight, with this one arm and this narrow shoulder. There are a lot of people that I see that do pole and do stuff like that. They have broad shoulders. Narrow waist, and a flatter butt, right? So that makes it easier when you go upside down because you have a broader base to support yourself. For me, trying to balance all of my lower body on my long narrow arms and these narrow shoulders is extremely difficult. And for me to hang by one arm, holding this entire body with this one little, really fucking difficult, okay? So it's like it requires strength, period. But certain body types and dimensions require even more strength to do certain things. Like if I'm going to, when I look at black strippers, for example, right? If you look at black strippers and how they go upside down, and this is only something that like somebody would notice if they analyze pole dance videos and stripper videos. Black strippers, when they go upside down, which is called inverting in a powerful, explosive kind of way, but their knees are usually bent and not completely straight. Like in the pole dance world, sometimes they'll do legs completely straight and they will invert. But the thing is, if you have booty, right? If you got a whole bunch of booty back here, it is hard as fuck, okay? And then if your legs are long too, the longer your limbs are, the way more ab strength it takes to get it up, way more, okay? But then combining that with the weight that you have back here, it is weighing it down. So it makes it even harder to lift like that. And I will see a lot of people who lift like that don't have a lot of booty and don't have long legs. Or sometimes they have long legs, but they don't have a lot of booty. Sometimes I've seen some with long legs. I've actually seen some people who are taller than me. I've seen women who are taller than me, but their limbs are shorter than mine, okay? There's a woman I know who's at least 5'11", and her arms and her legs are not as long as mine. So I'm abnormally long, but regardless. The longer your lever length is, the harder that's going to be. When you have more weight in the back. So it's like the way that if you have somebody who's shorter, they got broader shoulders, flipping into like a one-arm handstand or whatever, it's not as difficult as it is if somebody is long and linky or long and linky with a booty, like all that makes it more difficult. But on the flip side, so it's like, this is also why you can't say one workout is just because you're super in shape for this means that you're the ultimate athlete. No, because, people looking at me, you might think I'm super strong. I'm moderately strong. Okay, whatever. But where my skills are, I can jump over a bus. I can jump really high. I can run really fast. And my agility skills are on fleek. In pole dance, you never use agility. In track and field, you don't use agility. My explosiveness in my legs. And there are times I've been in classes, anytime I'm in any class and it requires us to explosively leap across the room in any kind of way, I'm always about to jump over the whole room because of the power that I have in my legs to do that, So we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And it's good also in the things that we just have to do physically. It's good to do the things that we're good at, but it's also good to add things to challenge us, challenge us in a variety of different ways. The one thing that I won't do is go swimming because I'm a black girl who does not want to get my hair wet. I don't like swimming that much that I feel like getting my hair wet. I don't like chlorine and I don't like sand. So that leaves not a lot of options. And yeah, so I'm not really about that life. But if you like to work out in the water is an excellent place. That would be maybe the one thing that I could say is missing from all the things that I do. From the dancing to the skating, ice skating, which I really love. Skating, rollerblading tests your balance in a lot of ways, right? It's really balanced. It trains your legs again. The pole, so it's like all those different things. But really the overall thing that I want to say with this is if you don't use it, you lose it. And being in shape is specific to the thing that you're training for, so understand that. If you train to be in shape for a triathlon, it does not mean you can come over here and start sprinting 100-meter sprints at people. You'll get dusted, you know. If you have been working out with a soccer team, that doesn't mean that you can come over here and fence. You know, they're all different skills, and you get in shape for that. And so just remember that as you move throughout stuff. And if you are a fitness professional and you're evaluating people, remember that. If you are somebody who is doing something physical, don't feel like, you know, like you might play basketball all the time and go to a spin class, you feel like your legs are going to fall off, you know. Challenge yourself in different ways and understand that, and don't beat yourself up when you see, like, you might be new to something and you see other people who are like, oh my God, how are they doing that? But they've been coming for weeks or months or years, you know. And if you don't do something for a while, you will lose some things. But don't let that discourage you either. If you've missed some time and you went backwards, just come back with a vengeance. Come back, start training again, start building it up. Don't let it all go. You know, something is better than nothing. Find ways to do it. So I hope that you guys took something from that ramble. I hope it made sense, because I really wanted to. Oh, the other thing is, I would say, what is it? I think, is it 5 measurements of being in shape? Would be muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance. So you have muscular strength, muscular endurance, okay? Cardiovascular endurance, balance, and flexibility, right? So those are all the different things. And I'll do another YouTube video where I go through those things, those different categories, and really explain what they mean. You know, what does it really mean to be flexible? How flexible do we need to be? What does it really mean to be to have muscular endurance, and how much do you need to have? So I will do a more in-depth video where I talk about that, because I probably talked to you guys enough in this video. But just remember the points that I made. Make sure you follow me on YouTube and on Instagram, and have a good day, people. Bye.